Imagine a car so expensive it could single-handedly bankrupt an entire nation. This Ferrari costs more than Malta's entire GDP. But hold on, car number 7 will blow your mind. Its price tag higher than Monaco's annual budget. And car number 10, you'd need $200 to afford it, even if you made $100,000 every single day. This isn't just luxury. This is pure insanity. These are the 10 cars that cost more than the country's GDP. Let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because we're starting with a car that redefines as the word expensive. Meet the Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Coupe, a $142 million masterpiece that holds the title of the most expensive car ever sold. Let that number sink in. This single car costs 65% of Palau's entire GDP, a nation of 18,000 people. Now, let's talk design. This isn't just a car. It's a 1950s racing icon reborn as a road monster. The exterior, pure aggression. Those gold doors aren't just for show. They're a nod to its racing DNA designed for drivers to leap out during pit stops. The sleek silver body, handcrafted aluminum polished to mirror perfection, and that 8-cylinder engine, a roaring 3.00-liter beast that dominated the 1955 Maya race. But step inside and prepare to time travel. The cockpit is a vintage dream. No touchscreens, no flashy tech, just raw analog luxury. The steering wheel wrapped in thin crackled leather, the same material used in 1950s race gloves. The seats bucket style stitched by hand because back then ergonomic meant hold on for dear life. Here's the kicker. Mercedes built only 2 of these. One sits in their museum. The other owned by a shadowy billionaire whose identity is locked tighter than Fort Knox. Rumor says even Elon Musk tried to buy it and failed. But why $142 million? Because this isn't just a car. It's a time capsule of engineering genius. A machine so rare even most billionaires can't touch it. And guess what? This is just car number 1. If you thought the Mercedes was shocking, meet the Bugatti La Voiture Noire, the black car that's darker than your ex's soul. Priced at $19 million. This isn't just a car. It's a rolling nightmare for accountants. How expensive is it? This Bugatti costs more than Tfala's entire GDP. A nation drowning in debt just like you'll be after hearing this. But here's the twist. This car isn't just rare, it's forbidden. Owners need special permission to drive it because its 1,500 horsepower engine could literally outrun the law. The exterior pure carbon fiber villain. Every curve is hand sculpted to slice through air and bank accounts. And that obsidian black paint, it's coated with crushed diamonds because Bugatti thinks glitter is for peasants. Inside, a vampire's paradise. Hand-stitched leather, 18-karat gold switches, and a speedometer that goes up to 273 miles per hour, a speed so illegal, it's practically a crime scene. But who owns this beast? Rumors say it's a tech titan who wears a mask to test drives, or maybe a drug lord who uses it to smuggle. Well, let's not ask. One thing's clear. This car isn't for the rich. It's for the roughless. And guess what? We're just getting started. If you think $19 million was outrageous, brace yourself. The Rolls-Royce Boat Tail, a $28 million masterpiece that makes yachts look like bathtub toys. This car isn't just expensive. It's Sao and Principi's GDP on 4 wheels. Yes, an entire African nation's economy crushed under the weight of one car's price tag. Let's break down this floating palace. The exterior, handcrafted aluminum polished for 2,000 hours because Rolls-Royce thinks time is just a number. The rear, a built-in champagne chest with crystal flutes because picnics should always come with the side of bankruptcy. And that parasol, it's stitched with gold thread because shade is for peasants. Inside a dashboard wrapped in mother of pearl. Seats upholstered in leather so soft it's illegal in 12 countries. But here's the kicker. Only 3 exist. One's owned by a secretive tycoon who demanded his initials be engraved in platinum. Another by a Middle Eastern royal who uses it to tow his private jet. And the third, it's rumored to be buried in a Swiss vault guarded by lasers and lawyers. Why $28 million? Because this isn't a car. It's a declaration of war against logic, sanity, and every budget ever written. And guess what? We're just warming up. Hold on to your wallets because we're diving into a car so legendary even God would need a loan to afford it. The 1963 Ferrari 250 GTO, a $70 million symphony of speed that makes Dominica's entire GDP look like pocket change. Let that sink in. This car's price tag equals 12% of Dominica's economy. And it's not even street legal. Let's decode this Italian beast. The exterior, a time capsule of 1960s racing rage. Every curve was hand-sculpted to cheat the wind and humble millionaires. That iconic rear, pure aggression. The quad-tail pipes, they don't just roar, they scream wealth. Inside, a cockpit soaked in vintage adrenaline. No airbags, no touchscreens, just a wooden steering wheel, cracked leather seats, and a gear stick worn raw by racing gloves. Why? Because in 1963, safety was for losers. Speed was religion. But here's the twist. Only 36 were ever made. One sold for $70 million. Another sits in the Louvre of cars, the Ferrari Museum, and the rest owned by phantom billionaires who'd rather die than sell. Rumor says Jay Leno begged for one and got laughed out of Maranello. Why $70 million? Because this isn't a car. It's automotive royalty. A crown jewel of greed and glory. And trust me, the madness is just gearing up. Prepare for a car so rare, so unapologetically insane, it makes diamonds look like gravel. The Pagani's own the HP Beta, a $17.5 million roadster that costs more than 3 times Kira's GDP. Let that sink in. 3 of these cars could literally buy an entire Pacific Island nation and still have change for a private jet. Let's unravel this mechanical unicorn. The exterior, carbon, titanium, and madness. A material so exotic NASA uses it for Mars rovers. Those swooping curves, hand-sculpted by Italian artisans who probably drink espresso laced with rocket fuel. In the rear, a triple exhaust setup that sounds like Satan's symphony orchestra, tuned to destroy eardrums and bank accounts. Inside, a cockpit carved from alien dreams. Bare metal gears exposed like surgical instruments. Seats wrapped in leather tan with unicorn tears. The steering wheel, naked carbon fiber, no buttons, no screens, just raw unfiltered speed. But here's the kicker. Only 3 exist. One's owned by Pagani's CEO. Another by a crypto king who paid in Bitcoin and lost the password. The third buried in a Swiss bunker next to the Ark of the Covenant. Why $17.5 million? Because this isn't a car. It's a middle finger to physics, finance, and anyone who thinks reasonable is a word. And guess what? We're just hitting ludicrous speed. Buckle up because we're about to unleash a car so ferocious it makes hurricanes look like gentle breezes. The Lamborghini Veneno Roadster, a $4.5 million beast that costs more than Montserrat's entire GDP. Let that marinate. This car's price tag could rebuild an island destroyed by volcanoes. But Lamborghini said, nah, let's make it a toy for billionaires instead. Let's dissect this carbon fiber predator. The exterior, aerodynamic insanity. Every angle designed to slice through air in your life savings. Those jagged edges, they're not just for show. They're to remind you that beauty is pain and so is bankruptcy. The rear, a triple exhaust system that growls like a T-Rex on espresso and a spoiler so sharp it could file your taxes. Inside, a cockpit stripped down to bare bones brutality. No cup holders, no touchscreens, just Alcantara racing seats and a fire extinguisher. Why? Because in a car this wild, safety means don't crash. And luxury means you're still alive. But here's the kicker. Only 9 exist. One's owned by a Middle Eastern prince who races it against his pet cheaters. Another by a tech mogul who uses it to test AI algorithms code for midlife crisis. And the rest locked in climate-controlled garages next to dinosaur fossils and Elon's hair plugs. Why $4.5 million? Because this isn't a car. It's a natural disaster with a warranty. And trust me, the chaos is just shifting gears. Hold on to your sunglasses because this car doesn't just shine, it blinds. Meet the Koenigsegg CCX Artevita, a $4.8 million diamond-coated monster that costs more than 4% of Nehru's GDP. Let that sink in. This car's price could fund an entire phosphate mine, but Koenigsegg said, let's bedazzle it instead. Let's crack this crystal-clad enigma. The exterior diamond weave carbon fiber. Yes, actual diamonds crushed into its body. Why? Because Koig thinks paint is for peasants. That pearly white finish, it reflects sunlight like a rolling supernova and lawsuits from jealous jewelers. Under the hood, a 4.8 L V8 pumping out 108 horsepower, enough to outrun your regrets. An Interpol. The rear wing, a satanic spoiler that generates more downforce than a Boeing 747 and more envy than a billionaire's Instagram. Inside, a cockpit dripping with Arctic opulence, seats stitched with platinum thread, a gear knob carved from Swedish crystal and a speedometer that maxes out at 245 miles per hour because death is just a minor inconvenience. But here's the twist. Only 3 exist. One's owned by a tech genius who paid in Bitcoin, then forgot his crypto wallet password. Another by a Middle Eastern royal who traded 10 oil wells for it. The third locked in a vault guarded by AI robots and a dragon named Steve. Why $4.8 million? Because this isn't a car. It's a walking jewelry heist with a turbocharger. And guess what? The insanity is just shifting gears. Step into a time machine because this next car is older than your great-grandpa's regrets. The 1936 Delhi 135M, a $22 million relic that costs more than 8% of the Marshall Islands' GDP. Let that sink in. This pre-war masterpiece could fund an entire Pacific nation's infrastructure, but instead it's parked in a billionaire's temperature-controlled art gallery. Let's peel back the layers of this rolling antique. The exterior, Art Deco elegance meets mechanical brutality, handcrafted curves that make modern supercars look like Lego toys, and a grille so ornate it could double as a cathedral gate. The wheels spoke like a vintage pocket watch. Because in 1936, speed was measured in style, not seconds. Under the hood, a 3.5 L straight-six engine that growls like a jazz-age rebel. A sound so rare it's practically extinct. The interior, velvet upholstery, mahogany dashboards, and the steering wheel thinner than your patience. Because safety was just a suggestion back then. But here's the kicker. This car survived World War II only to end up as a trophy for a secret society of collectors. Rumors say its anonymous buyer traded a Picasso for it and stores it next to the Holy Grail in a Swiss bunker. Why $22 million? Because this isn't a car. It's a rolling museum. A time capsule of rebellion and opulence. And trust me, the past is just gearing up to haunt your future. Strap in because this next car doesn't just break the rules, it annihilates them. The Aston Martin Valkyrie, a $3 million hypercar co-designed with F1 legends, priced higher than Micronesia's entire tourism revenue for 5 months. Let that sink in. This car's cost could fund a tropical paradise. But instead, it's a playground for the 0.001%. Let's dissect this carbon fiber predator. The exterior, aerodynamic witchcraft. Every vent, every curve designed in a wind tunnel by mad scientists. That rear, a gaping diffuser so aggressive it could suck the soul out of a Tesla. The doors, G-Wing suicide style, because normal is for peasants. Under the hood, a 6.5 L V12 hybrid engine screaming at 11,000 revolutions per minute. A sound so primal it's banned in Swiss noise laws. The interior barebones insanity. No glove box, no cup holders, just a seat molded to the driver's skeleton and a steering wheel stolen from a spaceship. But here's the kicker. Only 150 exist. One's owned by an F1 world champion who uses it to train for races. Another by a tech billionaire who traded free private islands for it, and the rest guarded in underground layers next to dinosaur DNA and Elon's Mars blueprints. Why $3 million? Because this isn't a car. It's a declaration of war against gravity, logic, and every minivan on Earth. And guess what? The apocalypse is just warming up. We've saved the most cursed for last. The 1954 Oldsmobile F88, a $3.3 million ghost from the past, priced higher than Tonga's entire GDP. Let that sink in. This car's value could bail out a Polynesian kingdom. But instead, it's collecting dust in a billionaire's secret vault. Let's unearth this forgotten nightmare. The exterior, jet-age insanity, a chrome-drenched spaceship on wheels, designed when rockets were cooler than iPhones. Those tail fins sharp enough to slice through time and your inheritance. The grille, a gaping mouth that swallowed dreams and maybe a few souls. Under the hood, a V8 engine that roared with 250 horsepower, insane for 1954, and pathetic by today's standards. The interior, atomic age kit, turquoise upholstery, a steering wheel the size of a hula hoop, and a radio that only plays Elvis from the future. But here's the twist. This car was buried for 60 years. Why? Rumors say it's cursed. Its first owner went bankrupt. The second vanished in the Bermuda Triangle. And the third, a reclusive heiress who locked it in a bunker next to Nixon's missing tapes. Why $3.3 million? Because this isn't a car. It's a gravestone for ambition, logic, and everyone who dared to own it. And guess what? This list, it's just the beginning of the madness. You've just witnessed 10 cars so expensive they could buy countries. But we're not done yet. Because hidden in the shadows is a bonus car. A machine so forbidden, so unholy, it's been erased from history. Its name classified, its price, let's just say it could fund World War II. Who owns it? A shadow consortium of billionaires or maybe aliens. Why is it banned? Because its mere existence threatens the global economy and sanity. Want to see it? Smash that subscribe button, ring the bell, and pray we survive long enough to expose it. Until then, remember, in a world where one car equals one nation, the real question is who's driving your country.